I like to start this video out by thanking everybody who participated in my polls. I like to thank everybody who sent me questions, comments, or suggestions, and I'm going to be answering the questions that I asked you and the questions that you asked me. The first question is actually a question that I asked all of you, which is affirmative action reverse racism? If any of you guys answered yes to that question, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what affirmative action is. People oftentimes mistakenly use certain aspects of racism to define racism as a whole. So racism is actually prejudice, bigotry, ignorance, and power. The reason why black people cannot be racist is because black people do not have power. There has to be a precedented establishment of power that ensures that one ethnic group is here and another ethnic group is always here. Black people in this country have never taken their ignorance, never taken their bigotry, and never taken their prejudice to create a system that provides an unequal amount of resources based on ethnicity. In the United States, there has always been history of black people being treated like less and receiving less. Secondly, affirmative action is not reverse racism because affirmative action is a program used to remedy the obvious consequences of a racist system. So what affirmative action really does, it takes applicant A, who for this case will be a white boy who comes from a good community with very good school resources. If he ever had any health issues that could potentially get in the way of his education or his path to success, if he ever needed any extra support, whether it be academically or if he was an athlete athletically, or if maybe, God forbid, he had mental issues, maybe psychologically, with both parents who both earned a college degree, who both maybe went and pursued their doctorate degrees, who both can give him advice but also provide him with a network of individuals who are successful themselves. White kids from white communities oftentimes have the best chances of succeeding because they are placed in the best environments to succeed. Black kids do not have that opportunity. Oftentimes, when we're looking at black children who come from low-income communities, they don't have any of that. None of it. It does not exist. They do not have good schools. They do not have access to healthcare. They do not have access to extra resources to guide them. They do not have access to a network of professionals. They don't have access to any of that. What affirmative action does is it takes that black kid who had to start out here and ends up doing well in this poor black community, and it brings them here, while a white kid is already up here. When the application gets to the committee and they start comparing both candidates, that black kid now finally gets to go from here to here. So now both candidates are here, forcing institutions to look at candidates from a holistic point of view. So although applicant A may have the raw test scores, we still have to look at applicant B regardless of race and regardless of socioeconomic status, because maybe there are things that he's going to say in his application that help the committee understand why applicant B may not have been as successful in achieving the raw scores that applicant A was able to receive. The competition between both applicants becomes a question of, okay, well, which applicant is going to be more likely to succeed and thrive in their profession? So in real time, what this decision process ends up doing is it ends up giving an opportunity to one person over another. Who is the admissions committee going to give this opportunity to? Affirmative action does not put a black kid at an institution at the place of a white kid. That doesn't even make sense. Even after affirmative action has been implemented as a program, white kids are still 40% more likely to receive private scholarship. White students also make up 62%. White kids make up 62% of colleges. In other words, 62% of white kids are attending college, and in the United States, at least 74% of the population is white. So basically, if you're white, you're in college. If we look at the incarceration rate for black people in the prison system, 33% of the prison system is made up of black people. When we look at the black community in general in the United States, they only make up about 12% of the American population. And then when we look at the amount of black students who are even at elite institutions, they oftentimes barely break the 10% margin. So I'm confused as to how affirmative action could in any way be reverse racism.